Welcome into Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports. Tom Downey here once again with a mailbag. As promised, we're answering your questions and comments and potential concerns on today's show. First up from Brett, Bengals fan. Checks out. Would you make a move for Budda Baker? It's a lot of B's in there. I'll start with saying I love Budda Baker, the player, right? He, background, of course, for those of you unaware. Baker has requested a trade from Arizona. He approached it as, I want to be the highest paid safety in the NFL, or you should trade me. A couple weeks go by, two months basically. Budda Baker's requested a trade. All right, we can read between the lines for what that means. It means the Cardinals weren't going to make him the highest paid safety. He's an awesome football player. He's able to do a lot of good things for you around the box, deep in coverage. He would be your best safety on the roster. If Dax Hill can have a career similar to Budda Baker, that's an awesome elite outcome for Cincinnati. Now, look, the Bengals did sign Nick Scott away from the LA Rams. They drafted Jordan Battle to help replace Jessie Bates. I don't know if safety's the biggest need right now. And there are some issues that you run into. The money is the big one, right? Budda Baker's making $14.75 on average per year. He said he wants to be highest paid safety, $19 million. Maybe he takes a little bit less, right? Isn't he going to get more than Jessie Bates did? And that therein lies the issue with what is a fun idea, to make no mistake about it, because Budda Baker, the player, is a great addition, Madden style, right? I think the trade cost to get him is roughly a second-round pick, somewhere in that range. But he probably is going to cost you more on a per-year salary basis than what Jessie Bates was making. And the Bengals clearly were not going to make that happen. So, fun name to consider. Not the typical Bengals MO. And because you've got bigger deals coming, you chose to go cheap at safety and not pay Jessie Bates, who I was always a big fan of. But to then trade away draft capital and give more money to another really good safety when you could have just paid the one he had, it doesn't really make enough sense for me. Unless they are just like panicking on Daxton Hill come week one, for me to think that's a move the Bengals would choose to make in the end. So when it comes to trades, have some fun in the comments section. Name a player who you would like to trade for. Sound off at the pinned comment of today's show. So if that ad break comes here on YouTube, ignore it. Head down there. Let me know what player you want to trade for. All right, some comments here that weren't like full-on, questions, but I thought were still good to have in a mailbag type of setting from, let's go with AD here. I'll send Jonah's cap, down there. This is in reference to Derrick Henry. With a third-round pick for Derrick Henry, so goddamn fast. And Taylor Hayes says, no, this is again asking about our Derrick Henry video we posted earlier this week. I consider trading Mixon in a fourth for Derrick Henry. A lot of these comments came in from our mailbag ask on our Derrick Henry and other Bengals rumors out there video. Was a popular one, so we'll have some fun discussing some of the comments that came in on that side. The background, if you haven't watched it, please go do. Make sure you're subscribed, of course, as well. youtube.com/BengalsTV, so you don't miss out on videos. Was a second and a third for Henry and a sixth, which is it's a lot to give up. I like both of those deals presented a lot more. Jonah Williams, hey, he might start for Tennessee. Throw a third in there? I actually love that idea because you're able to free up even more money by trading away Jonah Williams and a third for Derrick Henry. You would cut Joe Mixon. You're coming out like on top of like $12 million. Mixon in a fourth, I'd do it too. Similar money. That's a fourth. Maybe it's a good player. Maybe it's Cordell Volson. Maybe it's not a good player. So it's a fun idea to get Derrick Henry. And that's the type of move that if I ran the Bengals, that's what I'd be offering. If you were doing your little Madden style, offer that. See if they say yes. Tennessee probably says no. Is what you run into there because I don't really believe the rumors of Tennessee trading Derrick Henry. I've been wrong many a time before on that type of stuff. I dyed my hair red as punishment for thinking the Cardinals weren't going to take Kyler Murray, for example. Jonah Williams, he costs a lot of money. And if you're confident in Lyle Collins, who we'll get to, by the way, on this mailbag, maybe you don't need to play him at all and you can save some money there. And Mixon's not as good as Derrick Henry, but he can still start for you. It's not a massive downgrade for Tennessee, but they're not really saving much money. So is the fourth enough? I would kind of say no from that perspective. Another trade idea from LeVar Hollis at Bermuda Bengal. Love that username, by the way. Mixon for Henry straight up. Maybe? Mixon and Jonah for Henry in a second pick. Yes. I think Tennessee says no to both of those. I think we're just overvaluing. I think Jonah Williams in particular there, he's not worth a sec. I think if you were lucky come draft time, you would have netted maybe a third or a fourth for him. But Tennessee says yes, let's ride. If they would do the straight-up trade, which I don't think they would, but let's say that they consider it, who would you rather have on the Bengals? JM for Joe Mixon or DH for Derrick Henry? I think I know how most of us will vote, but either way, head down to the comment section and sound off. JM for Joe Mixon, DH for Derrick Henry. From Brian Poe, about halfway through making the comments, I'm like, I can just put their usernames in there. So we did. Why would Collins be cut? He's worth way more than the $4 million savings. It's a little bit more in the saving side of things here for Lyle Collins if the Bengals chose to cut him. 6.05 pre-June 1st, 7.12 after June 1st. Not significant changes there. The reason why they look to move on from him is they don't trust him to stay healthy, which is why the Cowboys cut him this time last year, or I guess a little over a year ago. They don't trust him to stay healthy. And now, I don't have the exact contract details. I do wonder if there is some medical guarantees. That's fairly common for a 2-year player, especially a guy like Collins come off hip injury. Then he apparently shredded his ACL pretty bad. It was all 3 he tore, which is a huge red flag for me. But if he can pass physical and they can save some money, then it starts to make sense of maybe if they don't trust him to ever be the same guy again. But I didn't think he was that bad last year. He's still a good run blocker. Don't love him in pass protection, but $6 million. Even if that's like your backup, your 6th offensive lineman, that's worthwhile payment. So it really comes down to, do they think he can play football? Can they still save the money if there is no injury guarantee? From that perspective, starts to make some sense. But I get where you're coming from there, Bermuda Bengal. I totally understand the don't move on from passable linemen, right? So what would you guys do? Lyle Collins. K for keep, C for cut. I do think this would be his final year in Cincinnati. I think they're going to move on from that next year at minimum. But for this year, what happens? K for keep, C for cut. From Danny, Shu? I'm not really sure how to pronounce it there, Danny, so my apologies if I got it wrong there. Who do you think steps up the most this year? It's a great question, and we will eventually do an entire breakout candidates video later on in the offseason. But 5 names I've got my eye on here, right? Travion Williams. Zach Taylor's hyped him up a pretty decent amount of being a potential impact player in the Samaje Perine role for the Bengals. Irv Smith. Thought a lot about him, too. The Bengals need him at tight end. It's Drew Sample and, Devin Asiasi. That's bad room. Cordell Volson, if you can take step 2, year 2 breakup after being a rookie starter, I think it was a 4th-round pick. That's valuable. That is... boom, that's significant right there. That'd be a great outcome for Cincinnati. Cam Taylor-Britt, the corner. Hey, Chidobe Awuzie, Taylor-Britt. Don't let DJ Turner steal your job as an outside corner. And the number 1 name for me on defense is Daxton Hill. Jesse Bates is gone. Hill was the 1st-round pick. He needs to have a big-time season. Now, if you want more Bengals mailbags, you've come to the right spot. If you ever have questions, put them in the comments using hashtag Bengals. It actually, we're allowed to, we can search it more easily that way on the YouTube side of things. So if you ever have questions, throw in hashtag Bengals. We'll do more mailbags because they're fun. They're enjoyable. So get them in, all your questions right now via hashtag Bengals. From Paul, Illerman. Oh, again, Paul, I'm sorry if I got it wrong. He says Cameron Brate trade for Jeremy Ruckert. So 2 ideas here at the tight end room. Cameron Brate is a free agent, and I don't mind this one at all. He's an older player. He kind of fell out of favor in Tampa last year. Doesn't have that much left in the tank, but if you're looking for a potential, low-end tight end too, he's probably better than Drew Sample is, than Devin Asiasi, even though he's 31 years old right now. 1-year deal, cheap money. I think that actually does make sense for Cincy. Then there's Jeremy Ruckert. Maybe it's just the Ohio State connection. Who knows? I know how it goes. It's fine. 3rd-round pick, I'm pretty sure, out of Ohio State. Didn't make any real impact at all for the New York Jets. And if there ends up being a hypothetical scenario for Aaron Rodgers' new team, and they do go get Mercedes Lewis, well, then there's several players who could start to make sense for the Bengals in that Jets tight end room. Because the Jets drafted Zach Kuntz. If they make the roster, if they sign somebody, they have Tyler Conklin. They have Jeremy Ruckert, the 3rd-round pick. And C.J. Uzomah. Maybe that's a potential name to keep an eye out for as well. But Ruckert, you give him a 5th-round pick for him, he can at least be your tight end too. He's an upgrade there. I like that idea quite a bit if the Jets decide to move him.